ocean is vast, dark, and mostly unexplored. But what if something ancient, something colossal, something biblical still lurks beneath the waves? For thousands of years, legends have spoken of Leviathan, a monstrous sea creature described in the Bible as nearly unstoppable, breathing fire, and capable of destroying the world itself. Could this be just a myth, or was Leviathan something very real? Across cultures, similar legends appear. The Norse Jörmungandr, the Babylonian Tiamat, the Greek Hydra, all tell of a cosmic sea beast of chaos, a force so powerful that even the gods feared it. But here's the terrifying part. Some believe it never truly disappeared. Could Leviathan still exist today? Could something enormous, something undiscovered be lurking in the deep trenches of the ocean, waiting? Scientists admit we've only explored 5% of the ocean. What's hiding in the remaining 95%? Join us as we uncover the truth behind one of history's most terrifying legends, the story of Leviathan. What was it? Where did it go? And most importantly, could it still be out there? Deep beneath the waves, where the light of the sun fades into an eternal darkness, something ancient stirs. A beast of unimaginable size and power. A creature so fearsome that no human could ever hope to tame it. This is Leviathan, the great sea monster of the Bible, a force of chaos and destruction, yet also a symbol of divine power. Throughout history, tales of monstrous beings lurking in the oceans have filled humanity with fear and fascination. But Leviathan is not just another sea monster. It appears in sacred texts not as a mere animal, but as something beyond human comprehension. A being so mighty that only God himself can control it. Could this creature be real? Or is it a symbol of something far greater? The Bible describes Leviathan as a serpent of the sea, a dragon-like beast so enormous that entire ships would be dwarfed in its shadow. In the book of Job, it is a fire-breathing entity with armor-like scales, so strong that no spear or sword can pierce its body. It is a ruler of the deep, a creature whose mere presence is enough to shake the strongest of men. Even the bravest warriors would tremble at the sight of Leviathan rising from the depths. In the Psalms, Leviathan takes on a different role. Here, God is said to have slain the creature and cast its body into the waters, feeding it to the people of the wilderness. A stunning image. Was Leviathan truly a physical beast, one that roamed the earth before being vanquished? Or was this an allegory for something greater, a story to symbolize God's power over chaos? Isaiah paints an even grander picture, one of divine prophecy. In the end times, it is written that God will once again strike down Leviathan, the great serpent of the sea. Is this a prediction of a final battle between good and evil? Or is Leviathan simply a metaphor, perhaps representing nations, rulers, or even Satan himself? But what inspired these biblical descriptions? Could Leviathan be based on a real creature, perhaps a colossal sea serpent, a prehistoric predator lost to time, or even an exaggerated account of a whale or crocodile? Or was it meant to represent something more, a force beyond the physical world? A creature of myth, woven into Scripture to teach deeper truths about the battle between order and chaos. As we explore the story of Leviathan, we will uncover its origins, its terrifying descriptions, and its place in both ancient belief and modern legend. But one thing is certain, whether real or not, Leviathan has captured the imagination of humanity for millennia. In the heart of the Bible's wisdom literature, one of the most chilling descriptions of Leviathan can be found. The book of Job, a story about a righteous man tested by suffering, presents a passage that describes Leviathan in terrifying detail. Here, God himself speaks of the creature's unparalleled strength, making it clear that no human force can hope to stand against it. This is not merely a beast of the sea. It is a cosmic force, untouchable by mortal hands. Can you draw out Leviathan with a fishhook? God asks Job in chapter 41. The question itself is meant to humble mankind, to remind humans that some forces of nature are beyond their control. Leviathan is described as a creature with impenetrable armor-like scales, eyes that shine like the dawn, and breath that ignites flames. No weapon can pierce it, no man can subdue it. Even its mere presence causes terror, for when it rises from the depths, the sea churns in its wake. The descriptions grow even more terrifying as the passage continues. Job 41 verses 19 to 21 states, "Out of its mouth go flaming torches. Sparks of fire leap forth. Out of its nostrils comes forth smoke, as from a boiling pot and burning rushes. Its breath kindles coals, and a flame comes forth from its mouth." A fire-breathing monster? Some scholars argue this passage is poetic exaggeration, while others suggest that ancient people may have been describing real creatures, perhaps massive crocodiles, extinct sea reptiles, or even exaggerated tales of volcanic eruptions seen at sea. Even its physical strength is unmatched. The text describes its body as hard as rock, its underbelly reinforced like a shield, making it invulnerable to spears, swords, and arrows. It moves through the water with ease, leaving behind a foaming, boiling trail, so powerful that it makes the ocean itself appear white with fury. This imagery is vivid and violent, depicting Leviathan as not just a beast, but as a chaotic entity that dominates the seas with an unnatural force. But if Leviathan is so invincible, why does God bring it up? The passage is not simply a description of a monster. It is a lesson in power. God uses Leviathan as an example to show Job that human beings are small in comparison to the vast forces of creation. If man cannot even control Leviathan, how can he question God's rule over the universe? Leviathan then is more than a sea creature. It is a symbol of divine might, a representation of chaos that only God can truly tame. This passage in Job is one of the most compelling accounts of Leviathan, fueling centuries of debate. Was it a real, living creature, a poetic metaphor, or something more? Some believe it references ancient encounters with unknown marine animals, while others argue it represents evil itself. Whatever the case, the Book of Job ensures that Leviathan remains one of the most unforgettable creatures in biblical lore. Leviathan's role in biblical texts extends beyond the terrifying imagery in the Book of Job. In Psalms and Isaiah, the creature takes on an even deeper meaning, not just as a beast of the sea, but as a symbol of chaos, destruction, and even evil itself. Unlike Job's depiction of Leviathan as an unstoppable force of nature, these later scriptures cast it as an enemy of divine order, destined to be defeated by God. In Psalm 74 verses 13 to 14, Leviathan is mentioned in the context of God's victory over primordial forces. You divided the sea by your strength. You broke the heads of the sea monsters in the waters. You crushed the heads of Leviathan. You gave him as food for the creatures of the wilderness. This passage is striking. It speaks of Leviathan as having multiple heads, a detail not found in Job's account. But what does this mean? Could this be a reference to an ancient myth where God slays a many-headed sea beast? Or does it symbolize the destruction of a chaotic force that threatened the world? Many scholars believe this description echoes older Mesopotamian myths, such as the Babylonian story of Tiamat, the goddess of the chaotic sea, who was slain by the god Marduk. Similar myths exist across cultures. Ancient civilizations often viewed the sea as a realm of disorder, and the idea of a divine being conquering a sea monster represented the establishment of order over chaos. In this way, Leviathan becomes more than just a creature. It is a symbol of untamed forces that must be subdued for peace and stability to exist. In Isaiah 27 verse 1, Leviathan returns once more, but this time in a prophecy about the end times. In that day, the Lord will punish Leviathan, the fleeing serpent Leviathan, the twisted serpent, and he will kill the dragon that is in the sea. This passage has fueled endless speculation. Some interpret it as an apocalyptic vision, perhaps symbolizing Satan, the embodiment of evil, who will ultimately be destroyed by God. Others believe it references earthly kingdoms such as Babylon, which were often depicted as monstrous forces opposing divine rule. These descriptions reinforce Leviathan's role as more than just a physical creature. It is a representation of chaos, oppression, and evil, something that God alone has the power to overcome. The shifting depictions of Leviathan, from a terrifying but natural beast in Job to a chaotic force in Psalms and Isaiah, show how biblical texts evolved over time to convey different messages about divine power and the struggle between order and destruction. But could these passages also be referencing real historical events? Some scholars argue that the imagery of Leviathan's defeat in Psalms and Isaiah reflects political realities, perhaps the fall of great empires, the defeat of oppressive rulers, or even natural disasters that shaped the ancient world. The sea, after all, has always been unpredictable, a realm of danger where ships vanish and unseen creatures lurk. Could Leviathan be an ancient personification of the fears and forces that early civilizations sought to explain? Whatever the truth may be, Leviathan's role in Psalms and Isaiah cements its status as more than just a monster of the deep. It is a force of chaos that only divine power can subdue, a symbol of ultimate destruction, and a reminder that order must always triumph over disorder. The battle between Leviathan and God is not just a battle of flesh and blood. It is a struggle for the very fabric of the world itself. Leviathan's legend is not confined to the Bible. Across cultures and civilizations, myths of gigantic sea monsters, primordial serpents, and world-devouring beasts have echoed through history. These ancient stories suggest that Leviathan is part of something much older, a shared human fear of the unknown depths, a terror of what lurks beneath the waves. Could these myths be referring to the same creature, or do they represent a universal symbol of chaos and destruction? One of the most striking parallels to Leviathan is found in Mesopotamian mythology, the tale of Tiamat, the chaotic sea goddess, who was slain by the god Marduk. Tiamat, like Leviathan, was a monstrous force of disorder, described as a serpentine or dragon-like entity whose body was split to form the heavens and the earth. This idea of a god slaying a sea monster to create order out of chaos is found in many ancient cultures. Was the biblical Leviathan inspired by this much older myth? The Canaanite religion also features a familiar figure, Leviathan, a seven-headed sea serpent, often linked to Leviathan. In the Ugaritic texts, Leviathan is the servant of Yam, the god of the sea, and is ultimately defeated by the storm god Baal. The striking resemblance to Psalm 74's description of Leviathan having many heads has led some scholars to believe that Leviathan's biblical origins may have been influenced by these older Middle Eastern myths. In Greek mythology, the story of Typhon, a monstrous serpentine giant who battled Zeus, also bears similarities to Leviathan. Typhon was said to be so vast that his coiled body stretched across mountains and seas, his breath setting the skies aflame. Just as Leviathan is the ultimate challenge to God's power in the Bible, Typhon was Zeus's greatest adversary, defeated and buried beneath Mount Etna, where his rage still fuels the volcano's eruptions. Even in Norse mythology, a similar figure exists, Jörmungandr, the world serpent. This immense, ocean-dwelling serpent encircles the entire world, growing so large that it can bite its own tail. According to prophecy, during Ragnarok, the Norse apocalypse, Jörmungandr will rise from the depths to battle the thunder god Thor. The parallels to Isaiah's vision of Leviathan being slain in the end times are impossible to ignore. Hindu mythology also contains echoes of Leviathan in the form of Vritra, a cosmic serpent or dragon that controls the waters and must be defeated by Indra, the god of thunder. Like Leviathan, Vritra represents obstruction, chaos, and primal disorder, and his defeat symbolizes the restoration of divine balance. This universal struggle between the forces of chaos and the divine power of order is a recurring theme across the world's myths and religions. The question remains, why do so many ancient civilizations share this recurring myth of a massive sea serpent? Some scholars suggest these stories may have originated from real encounters with massive sea creatures, such as whales, giant squid, or prehistoric marine reptiles like the Mosasaurus. Others believe that Leviathan and its mythological counterparts were never about real creatures at all, but rather symbols of humanity's eternal struggle against the forces of chaos, destruction, and the unknown. Whether a real beast, an ancient memory, or a powerful symbol, Leviathan's presence in mythologies across the world proves one thing. The fear of what lurks beneath the waves is as old as human civilization itself. And even today, as we map the depths of our oceans, we still wonder, what if something like Leviathan is still out there? Leviathan, once a biblical and mythological sea monster, has transcended ancient texts to become a powerful symbol in modern times. Whether depicted as a terrifying deep-sea creature, a metaphor for uncontrollable forces, or a representation of cosmic horror, Leviathan continues to haunt our imagination. But how has this legendary beast evolved in today's world of literature, film, and even philosophy? One of the most famous modern references to Leviathan is found in Thomas Hobbes' 1651 political treatise, Leviathan. In this work, Hobbes describes an all-powerful state as a metaphorical sea monster, arguing that a strong, centralized government is necessary to prevent society from descending into chaos. This interpretation transformed Leviathan from a literal beast into a symbol of authority, control, and political power. Leviathan has also left its mark on modern horror and science fiction. H.P. Lovecraft, the master of cosmic horror, frequently wrote about terrifying sea monsters and ancient deities that resemble the biblical Leviathan. Creatures like Cthulhu, a vast, tentacled horror that slumbers beneath the sea, mirror Leviathan's role as a powerful, godlike entity lurking beyond human comprehension. The idea that the deep ocean holds ancient, sleeping horrors remains a chilling theme in literature and film. Hollywood has embraced Leviathan's legacy, bringing it to life in countless films and television series. Movies like Pacific Rim 2013 feature enormous sea creatures known as kaiju that emerge from the ocean to wreak havoc on humanity, echoing Leviathan's destructive nature. Similarly, the Godzilla franchise has long portrayed the titular monster as an ancient force of nature, a Leviathan-like beast awakened by human interference. These modern interpretations continue the tradition of portraying Leviathan as a nearly unstoppable, apocalyptic force. The gaming world has also embraced Leviathan's terrifying image. In games like Final Fantasy and Mass Effect, Leviathan appears as a powerful, ancient entity, often linked to water, destruction, or hidden knowledge. The name has become synonymous with immense creatures dwelling in the depths, their true power beyond human understanding. These portrayals show that Leviathan's legend continues to evolve, adapting to new storytelling mediums. Beyond entertainment, Leviathan's legacy endures in cryptozoology and deep-sea exploration. Many conspiracy theories suggest that giant, undiscovered sea creatures still exist, hidden in the uncharted depths of our oceans. Every year, new species are discovered in the deep, some with bizarre, alien-like features, fueling speculation that something truly monstrous could still be lurking beneath the waves. Could modern discoveries finally prove that Leviathan was more than just a myth? Ultimately, Leviathan's transformation from a biblical sea monster to a universal symbol of power, chaos, and the unknown proves its lasting impact on human storytelling. Whether feared as a literal beast, admired as a force of nature, or studied as a political metaphor, Leviathan continues to captivate our minds. As long as the depths of the ocean remain mysterious, Leviathan will never truly disappear. It will always be waiting, just beyond the edge of human understanding. From the pages of the Bible to the depths of modern imagination, Leviathan has remained one of history's most haunting and powerful symbols. Whether described as an indestructible sea monster in Job, a multi-headed beast in Psalms, or a divine adversary in Isaiah, Leviathan has always represented something more than just a creature. It embodies chaos, destruction, and the untamed forces of nature. But Leviathan is not alone. Across the world, myths of world serpents, sea dragons, and chaos beasts reflect humanity's deep-rooted fear of the unknown. From Tiamat in Mesopotamian mythology to Jörmungandr in Norse legend, ancient civilizations shared a common vision: a cosmic struggle between divine order and primal chaos. This raises an intriguing question. Was Leviathan inspired by real encounters with sea creatures, or was it always meant to be a symbol? Even today, Leviathan's legend lives on. Whether as a philosophical metaphor for power and control, a horror icon in literature and film, or an undiscovered deep-sea mystery, Leviathan has adapted to every age, reshaping itself to fit new fears and fascinations. In our own time, as scientists continue to explore the uncharted depths of the ocean, one truth remains: we still do not know what lurks beneath. Perhaps the real Leviathan is still waiting, buried in the abyss, beyond the reach of human discovery. Or perhaps Leviathan has always been with us, not as a physical beast, but as a symbol of our greatest fears, our struggles, and our endless curiosity about the unknown. One thing is certain: Leviathan will never truly disappear. It will always wait in the depths of our imagination,